We are now in Module 3, Contract Administration, the first of process pillars, contract management. The topics covered definition and the process approach, insights, inputs to contract administration, tools and techniques, outputs of contract administration. Contract administration is defined as the use of appropriate project management processes to contractual relations, such as in performance reporting on cost, schedule, and compliance, project planning, always tracking the plan versus actual, quality controlling by inspection and testing, and integrating the outputs from these processes into the total management of a project. Process approach. The process approach is the methodology used in this learning intervention. To come up with the understanding of managing and administering contracts, it would be helpful to understand the processes involved. The inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs are the key components of a process. In the analysis of the components, we will be able to determine what are needed and which are the prerequisites. Then, how these are assessed using tools and techniques to attain the desired outcome, which is the proficiency in contract management. In clarifying the process approach, we need to be aware that the outputs of the process are outcomes which support the efficient contract administration. When determining these outputs, the inputs are carefully defined and linked. These inputs consist of elements necessary to define the outputs. The inputs are regulations, standards, and programs, legal requirements set by government. Standards are guidelines for the implementation of the project and the contract. Programs are systems, organizations, timelines, methodologies to be followed. Plans and information. Program solutions to address identified items to achieve the desired outcomes. And available information so that the project activities are performed as planned. Logistical requirements. The necessities for executing the contract. These can be the procurement policies and guidelines. Organizational structure, human resource capability, design engineering, contract administration system, physical supports, execution and control setups, to cite a few. Tools and techniques like brainstorming, used with the elements of the inputs. The elements are analyzed considering the following factors: men, the people and management; money, the financials; machine, the equipment and tools; materials and machines needed; Mother Earth, the environment; and motivation, the leadership. The outputs are established after assessing the factors against the inputs, such as policies and procedures. The written guides for contract management, activities and preventive actions enumerated for administering the contract of the project. Provisions listed and prepared to ensure that managing the project in line with the contract terms are supported. The process approach is employed to ensure the understanding of the contract administration and management. The contract administration process contains the inputs: procurement of contracts with subsection, contract and terminologies; work results; expenditures; changes to contracts; the tools and techniques; contract change control system; performance reporting; payment system; the outputs as correspondence; contract changes; payment. How do we purchase the construction contract? Begin with the right contract in mind. A well-prepared contract, when used for bidding, gives you half the worries of a failed project. Procurement of contract as inputs has the following activities: terms of reference, bid process with sub-processes, pre-bid, bid, and post-bid. Procurement is the product of briefing and designing. The activities start with the terms of reference, which were previously discussed in Module 2, Development of the Construction Contract. At what point do you enter into a construction contract? Like equipment and materials, construction contracts are procured and follow proper procurement process. The bid process is initiated at Step 1, Design Engineering. Step 2, Procurement, with the bid process having activities pre-bid, bid, and post-bid, followed by the contract. Step 3, Construction. Let's proceed to pre-bid. Pre-bid, the stage where management acts on fundamental matters such as the owner shortlists the bidders, qualifies the shortlisted bidders, then notifies bidders to participate in the bid stage. Meanwhile, the constructor decides to participate in the bid, and if so, defines what bid to submit for partial works. Then, assess capacity in view of resources and commitments. In real situation, constructors may have a number of projects in progress. The pre-qualification criteria are set by the owner. The constructor should meet the criteria to be shortlisted. Organization structure, capable to take on the works of the project. Financial statement, to see if the financial capacity is sufficient enough to complete the project. Financial reference, to verify further the legitimacy of the business of the constructor. Joint venture, if any, to declare if joining with other companies. Resources, having the equipment and physical assets to carry out the works. Experience with similar nature of the project. Quality assurance program in place and able to maintain the standard. EHS policy, committed to abide by the rules. History of litigation or arbitration, to see if the constructor is comfortable to deal with. License to carry out construction work. PCAB accreditation is half a step to having a constructor who is already pre-assessed by government. Bid submission confirmation should be declared. Bidding takes so much time in project, and redoing the bid is not acceptable time-wise. Guarantees. Other information to pre-qualify. With the criteria, a constructor might ask, can we do the works? Constructor's analysis at pre-contract looks with confidence at self, capability to complete the works, capacity to deliver commitments. The contract in terms of contractual, is it fair, financial? Can the financing of project sustainable? And will profitability be gained? Technical, will this be addressable? The owner, reputation, as the industry, will this owner be a good partner? Financial soundness, does he really have the money? Previous experience, with bad experience, will I do it again? Consultants, reputation, hard to deal with. Technical competence, are they really competent? Previous experience, do I have to suffer again? Market trends, from now to the end time of project. Labor rates at the region of the project and potential increases within project time. Currency exchange rates, research about its stability. Fluctuations affect prices. Material prices, proposal should consider price movements. Construction demands, high demand in the region of project may have impacts to cost and availability of resources. Let me list down the basic bidding documents. These are documents used to solicit proposals from prospective constructors. In a bound bid document, this is supplemented with first, invitation to bid or advert via formal request, and electronic or print ad invitation. Second, instruction to bidder. And third, the bid form. Invitation to bid, limited information document to allow bidders to determine the works are in their line, if within their capacity and ability to submit by the deadline. The elements in this first step are 1. Project title, project description, identification of principals, the participants in the project. 4. Type of contract, clearly defined. 5. Time and place for receipts of bids. 6. Bid security, furnish. 7. Guarantee bond, proof shown. 8. Examination and procurement of documents by constructor. Second, instructions to bidders. Outline the requirements to properly prepare a bid. Guide to address discrepancies to execute the bid form. The elements in the second step are 1. Form of bid, a standard form. 2. Preparation of bid. 3. Bid submission, how and when. 4. Interpretation of documents. 5. Examination of documents and site. A visit can be arranged. 6. Withdrawal and modification of bids. 7. Award of contract. 8. Rejection of bids, criteria and processes. 9. Other instruction to bidders. The instructions must be strictly followed to prevent failure of bidding. Third, bid form, prepared by architect, engineer, or issuing agency to ensure similarity in the bid preparation and presentation. This is for uniform basis of comparison. And the elements are 1. Addressee. 2. Name and address of bidder. 3. Project identification. 4. Acknowledgement. 5. Bid schedule. 6. Time of completion. 7. Alternates. 8. Acknowledgement of addenda. 9. Unit prices. 10. Agreement to accept contract. And 11. Signature and address of bidder. A sample of a form of bid security in a standard format to secure commitment of bidders to pursue the bid until the contract, highlighting the gist of the contents of the form. Bid security is required by the owner at bidding. Stressing its contents, constructor examines and agrees to accept the bid documents and initially proposes a bid price. An adjudicator is appointed and agreed upon by both parties. Commitment to pay commissions or gratuities to agents, if any, upon contract. The form of bid security is binding until a formal contract is executed. A sample of a form of bid security, bid bond, in a standard format. Bid security is assured by a bid bond, highlighting the contents of the form. Bond is issued by a surety company for the obligations of constructors to the owner in support to the bid security. Surety companies pays the owner on demand upon occurrence of non-compliance to the obligations by the constructor. Bid securing declaration to be filled up by the constructor in agreeing with the conditions of bid security, bid bond. A sample of a form of a bank guarantee in a standard format. The bid security is assured by a bank guarantee. The owner may require these documents in lieu of bid bond, highlighting the gist of the contents of the form. Constructor, as required by the owner, applies for bank guarantee for its bid. The bank pays the owner on demand upon occurrence of non-compliance to the obligations by the constructor. Bonds and insurances are required by the owner and have to be clearly stated in the contract documents. I am preempting the discussions about the GCC and SCC. The GCC, General Conditions of the Contract, requires insurance and bonds for risks and liabilities. The SCC, Supplementary Conditions to the Contract, specifies the type of insurances and bonds, obligates the coverages, and requires copies of certificates. This is a sample of the form of contract agreement, usually a form of several pages. The draft contract is the main part of the bid documents. A best practice on your part. The draft contract must be included as part of bid documents. Bear this in mind. Some provisions in the draft contract may have financial and legal implications. You have to read them carefully. Continuing with the draft contract, time schedule is stated in the draft. Article 3. Effective date for determining completion. Article 4. Appendices with a list of attachments to the contract agreement. The appendices may contain the following. Appendix 1, Terms and Procedures of Payment. Appendix 2, Price Adjustment. Appendix 3, Insurance Requirements. Appendix 4, Time Schedule. Appendix 5, List of Approved Subcontractors. Appendix 6, Scope of Work and Supply by Employer. Appendix 7, List of documents for approval or review. Appendix 8, Functional Guarantees. Typical appendices attached to the draft contract may include project information that provides details of key participants, the project brief, and the scope of the project. General information to allow better understanding of the works. Annex A, General Responsibilities and Special Requirements. Here is the definition of roles of owner and constructor. Terms of reference to set the limitations between the owner and constructor. Annex B, Time Schedule. Full schedule is shown, usually in Gantt chart. Milestone and completion dates. Milestone dates are specified and considered critical. Statements of defects, liability, and warranty period. Annex C, Commercial Terms. Statement of contract price and corresponding taxes. Partial and progress payments. Recoupment and retention values on payments by owner. Liquidated damages. Conditions and values. Annex D, Technical and other information. Single schedule rates showing elemental cost breakdown. Specifications and drawings. And guidelines and location rules. Guidelines can be policies and procedures that must be observed and used. Now, with the general conditions of the contract, or GCC, let me point out that contract or agreement is actually a compilation of several documents. The main contract is sort of cover pages. The contract documents are attached to the main contract or agreement and consists of the GCC, the general conditions of the contract, the SCC, the supplementary conditions to the contract, specifications, drawings, schedule of rates, addenda, and other bid documents. Addenda are agreed changes during the bidding, plus amendments. Amendments are agreed changes after the bids are submitted, but prior to contracting. The full contract documents are called construction specifications. Let's go to the details of GCC. Contractual relation. To be clarified with the GCC, we need to know more of the contractual relation. The contract defines for the contracting part their basic rights, responsibility, and relationships. There are general clauses of contract. These are inherent part of the owner-constructor contract. The type of conditions to contract are general conditions, a standard and pre-printed document, supplementary conditions, which are project-specific. Types of GCC, which can be referenced and used. Architect general conditions, taken from the American Institute of Architects. Engineer general conditions. Other private sector sources general conditions. National government general conditions. Other public agency and corporate general conditions. The preferred GCC type should be closely associated with the nature of the project. Pre-printed sources of GCC can be supplied by AASHTO, American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, ASEC, American Council of Engineering Companies, FIDIC, International Federation of Consulting Engineers. Actually, the Swiss-French wordings match the acronym. FIDIC, ASE, American Society of Civil Engineers, AGCA, Associated General Contractors of America, NSPE, National Society of Professional Engineers, NEC, New Engineering Contract, ICC, International Chamber of Commerce, JCT, Joint Contract Tribunal, and there are other sources. Thinking where to find the location of the GCC? The GCC, it is bound into signed copies of the project manual, and the project manual is included in the contract document. The supplementary conditions to the contract, the SCC, normally follow the GCC. The published GCCs, such as from AIA, American Institute of Architects, to name one, and other sources, are standards for projects. But when it is necessary to make changes to the GCC, such as additions, deletions, or substitutions, these are written in the SCC. Supplementary conditions to the contract, SCC. With GCC, modifications may create copyright issue, tend to be hard to read. SCC can adapt changes to the GCC. As an illustration of the modification to AIA 8201 GCC, the modification will list the changes in order of the articles and paragraph, then carefully add changes to preserve the integrity of AIA 8201 GCC. Then, coordinate changes with AIA A503 guide for supplementary conditions. As much as possible in that case, the change will be written in the SCC and keep the GCC as it is. Do you know that specifications are guided by industry-accepted section formats? A properly written specification documents clarify the requirements of the contract. Now, we will take on specifications. These are portions of contract documents consisting of written requirements for materials, equipment, systems, combination of various components to function as an integral part of the total system, standards to comply, workmanship of the work, performance of related services, the full functionality of the project. The handling of specification is referenced from AIA document 8201-2007, General Conditions of Contract for Construction. The specification writers refer to the master guides. These are specification guides and intact masters. Those are published and national marketed. Publishers continually research, create, and maintain construction specifications used by AE, architectural engineering offices, and independent spec consultants for office-specific master specifications. To cite as an example, a fit-out company compiles specifications related to its fit-out business only. Normally, specification guides are purchased from publishers, and these are costly to acquire. Then the applicable specifications are incorporated into the project manual. The specifications in section formats. The project manual with specifications is published for the project. The architects, engineers prepares the project manual and contains bidding and contract requirements. Construction contract specifications in chapter-like sections structured to master format. These are termed as section formats. The Source Guide Master Format 2018 edition is published by the Construction Specifications Institute. This guide provides the master list of numbers and titles for the construction industry, by and large, globally. The sections are headlined by divisions. Division 01, General Requirements, applies to all sections of the specification. That generally apply to all sections, meaning the Division 01 is applicable to all the sections, and if it's strictly followed, the division will be repeatedly written to every section. However, this is impracticable. The use of Division 01 follows one of the prime principles of specifications right. Say it once. Writing Division 01 repeatedly in its sections could result to voluminous specification documents, which are redundant. Division 01 Scope states the primary purposes of the general requirements and provides spaces for writing non-contractual and administrative requirements. All requirements not up for inclusion in the sections of Division 02 to 48. Instructions to constructors that could not be logically placed anywhere. Recommended sections of Division 01, section number and title per Master Format Guide have section number 0010 00 Summary, section number 0020 00 Price and Payment Procedures, section 0030 00 Administrative Requirements, 0040 00 Quality Requirements, 0050 00 Temporary Facilities and Controls, 0060 00 Product Requirements, 0070 00 Execution and Closeout Requirements, 0080 00 Performance Requirements, and 0090 00 Life Cycle Activities. The Master Format 2018 edition, Division 01 General Requirements, are followed with Division 02 to 48, which are general information about product and contain specific information on handling procedures, storage, substitution, execution methods on installation, application, erection, inspection, and integration. Showing the Division 01 link to the bidding requirements will help explain the Say It Once principles, although this link is not part of contract documents. This governs the contents of the agreement applicable to the project. Scope definition of separate prime contracts, necessary to clarify limits of scope and prevent conflicts. Phasing of work to organize the activities. Procedures on substitution, alternate or unit price. Occupancy, early or continuing. Partial acceptance on early or working on occupied spaces. Use of site, where portion of site is not part of the project or an area of the site can be used temporarily. Owner furnished material or equipment. How these are managed. Another would be the Division 1 linked to conditions of contract. Broad but contractual contents. It is always the case in contracting. The topics of concern to bidders, which are cross-referenced in Division 01, such as GCC uses AIA 8201 or AJ-CDC C-700. SCC modifies the GCC. Division 01 General Requirements administers the GCC and SCC. Division 02 to 48 specify requirements of applicable specifications, meaning those that are to be used for the project. An example of Division 01 linked to conditions of contract. In the GCC, owner will pay for testing. In Division 01, owner will engage an independent testing and inspection agency, including information about the authority of the agency. Division 01 links with GCC. In Division 02 to 48, with a specific or applicable specification, specific tests to conduct. As an example, tests for water quality. Division 02 to 48 links with Division 01, which links with the GCC. To cite Division 01 linked to drawings. Drawings graphically define some Division 01 subjects, such as scope of work and related works that may or may not be part of the contract. The other elements of the work require close coordination between Division 01. Use of the site being shown in drawing. Owner occupancy or use of facility during construction. Phase construction, elaborated in drawings. Multiple prime contract construction, detailing its prime contracting with respect to others. Explaining the Division 01 link to drawings in an example. Division 01 describes use of site by defining owner occupancy or use of facility during construction. To help in clarifying the intents of Division 1, the drawings will show project limits in access ways, areas kept clear for continuing use by owner, location of temporary constructions. Drawings link with Division 01 by providing a pictogram instead of contextualization, which is difficult in most cases. Learning check of Module 3, Part 1, Contract Administration. The procurement of contracts follow the bid processes. Particularly at the pre-bid phase, the owner prepares the bid documents. The draft contract contains several documents, termed as contract documents. Bidders refer to these documents when submitting proposals for the project.